Welcome to this lecture. The couple of lectures from here now will be interesting because we'll learn how to make advanced payload with the help of JavaScript in couple of lectures. So here is the test website. So you'll just get this test website from the description or from the resource section. So make sure you grab that. So let me just click for the challenges. So you can see it is saying enter your name here. So let me say something like the Sachin, which is my name. So let me just search. So you could see Sachin has been reflected right here. So let's see the source. So you can simply press Ctrl U to see the source. So let's search for Sachin because we have just put the Sachin over here. So let's see where the Sachin is reflected. So you could see it has been reflected just over here. So there is nowhere except here that this has reflected. So what you need to do now is, first of all, you have to make a payload in a such way that you have to inject your JavaScript code. So let's go here and inject some of the code. So you could also see over here that this field has been injected in this name. So let's try our simple payload and let's see how this works. So this is a challenge 1. So let me just make a simple script and it will say alert and document dot URL. So it is basically fetching the URL, and let me just close my script. So let me just grab all of these script and let's see if that parameter is vulnerable or not, because you could see the name has been reflected right here. That means there must be XSS vulnerabilities in this field. So okay, so let me just grab this one, let me paste it right here and let me just hit enter. Then it will say good work, you are welcome to the next round. So you can also put a same as here that we just did in case of Sachin. You can also put the same, that is payload what we just created right here over here. So let me just paste it down here and search. So you are also getting the same good work dialog box over here. So let's see for the challenge 2. So let's put something over here so that will be reflected. So I'll just put again the Sachin, the same Sachin, and it is saying that it cannot find the query. So that means it has not been reflected. So let's see if this name field is also vulnerable or not. So let me paste the same URL that we just created, that is document.url. Let me just hit enter, and it is not getting the basically what we say the message or the dialog box. That means this link or basically this script has not been executed. So let's put again the Sachin, that is same text. Let's search this Sachin and let's see where this has been reflected. Let me press Ctrl U for your source code and let me search now for Sachin, and it has been reflected. You could see it has been just injected in this value of Sachin. So let me just grab whole of this from here, that is from input tag. Let me copy this, go back to my Sublime, and this is your challenge 2. Let me just paste it down here. So you could see anything you type is injected in this value. So first of all, if you want to just inject some of the JavaScript code, you have to first close your input tag, because this is the HTML element. So you cannot do something like injecting your script, which is the JavaScript, and giving the alert of 1 or anything and just making the script close here. So you can't do this because you are inside this input tag, which is your HTML element. So you cannot inject your script inside this HTML element. So you have to first close this HTML element and you can inject your code. So this part is invalid, so you can't do this. So now we have to just make our own payload. In this case, I have to first close the input tag. So you could see in order to close the input tag, you can simply give this close angle bracket, and after that you can just run your script, which can be the same over here. So let me just grab this whole of this link, and this is basically just fetching or just giving the script. So this is our payload for challenge 2. So let me just copy this, go back to the practice lab, let me just paste it, and let's see if this works or not. Let me search, and it is also saying good work, you are welcome to the next round, because this payload has been worked. So let's see for the challenge 3. I'll just say hello. Okay, hello, and let me hit search. So same as before, it has not been reflected. Let's see for this parameter name, and let's inject your code, that is script, and let me hit enter, and again it has not been reflected. So again let me just go back to Sachin, and let's search this one. Control U to see the page source, Control F, and search for Sachin where it has been reflected. So it has been reflected in this value field. So same as before, we have to just make our own payload again. So let me just copy this and go to Sublime. So this is your challenge 3. So what we get here is this field. So if you see here, we have already said before that you have to first close the HTML elements in order to inject your script. So here it can't be something like this. So in before, so we had this payload. Let me just copy this and let me just paste it right down here. So if you just do this one, it won't be valid, because you have to also close this value field, because anything you put here as a script will be executed right here. So what if I just make use of a script instead of the Sachin? So what if I just put here a script and alert and something like 1 and close my script? So if you just do that, it will be injected in the value field. So in order to just make a script outside of this input tag, you have to first close this value with this double quote, or basically a single double quote here, and after that you have to close your input tag like this. So these two part will close our input tag, first value field or attribute, and after that it will close your input tag. After that you can just make use of your script, and anything after that script won't be executed, and we don't care about this. We only care about our script. So anything beyond that we need not to close, or we need not to do anything. So this is our new payload. So let's grab this, let me just copy, go back, and let's see if this works or not. So let me just paste real quick over here, let it search, and it is saying good work, welcome to the next round. So we're in the challenge 4. So I'll just pass my name, let me just hit search. As usual, it is not showing any reflection in the page, so let me just say Control U, and you could see it has been injected in this value field again. So we have to make our own payload from here. Let me copy this, and this is your challenge number 4. Let me just hit here. So we have to make our own payload as before. So first of all, you have to inject your script. So any script will be injected in this value field. You can see we have just typed Sachin in that field, and it has been injected in this value. That means first we have to close your value tag. So closing will be only single quote over here, because here we had the double quote, but in this case value has only the single quote. So first of all, we'll just close our value field, close our input field, and open our script. So it would be script, and I'll just put alert document dot URL. After that I'll just close my script, and anything after that we just really don't care. We just want to execute our script. So we'll just make this payload. Let me copy this, go back here, let me paste real quick here, let me say search. Again it is saying good work. Now let's see for the challenge 5, and let's see what they have got. So I'll just say hey, let me search, and wait for a moment, it is not loading. So let me refresh again. Okay, let me say hey, and as usual it is not reflected. Control U, Control F, and I'll search for hey, and let's see, it has been reflected right here in the source string. So you could see we have little bit change here. So we are now inside this script and it is reflected in the variable of the JavaScript, so that is strange. So first of all, I'll just take everything over here. So I'll just copy this. Okay, let me copy, go back, and this must be challenge 5. Let me paste. So this is the field where our hey has been reflected. That means our script will also be reflected in this variable of the JavaScript. So now what our payload must be, let's think about that. So over here what we have is we have something like this. So first of all, we have to now close our script because we want this script to be closed over here. So in here we want to close that script, and after we close we'll just run our script. So let's see how this work. So I'll just go right here and I'll first close my script. It should be script, and after I close my script, I will again execute my new script with the alert document.url, and after that I'll just execute the closing tag of the script. Let's see if this works. So if you are confused over here, so first we just did was we just put our script to be closed right here. So we'll execute our closing script. That means this part of script will be executed, and after that we'll just give simple alert to the window. So let's see what this will do. So let me just paste it down, let's search, and the same, that is result. Good work. Let's see for the challenge 6. So let's put something else here. Let me just say cricket. Let me search. So as usual, cricket has not been reflected. If you inject something over here in the name also, the script, it won't be reflected. We have to simply press Ctrl U, and now I'll just find cricket because I have just searched for it. So this has been reflected again in the variable of the script. So now what we can do is simply grab this script. So I'll just grab this, copy, go over here. This is the interesting challenge number 6. So let's see what this payload will be. So you could see we have the variable created over here. So first of all, I'll just close my cricket, or basically the script, and after that you can just close your script. That means this part will be now, let me just copy. So instead of cricket, I have to just put now this 2. So that means the empty variable has been created first. After that I'll just run my script. So first of all, I'll just close this script because I will have to just close this part. It should be script, and now I'll execute my own script. So it should be script, and here I'll just say alert, and it will have document.url, and this is our new payload. So you could see what we just did over here was we just made a empty variable with this quotation and the semicolon. After that we just execute our basically this payload from here, but before that we have to close this script tag also, because script tag can't have 2 script tag, because if you work with the opening script tag, it must be closed. So we have closed the script tag and we have executed our own script tag. So you can also do something like first close directly the script tag like we have just did here, but this is the better way. So let me just copy this, go back here, let's see if this works or not. So let me paste it, and it will say good work again, the same dialog box. Let's go for challenge 7. So I'll just pass here football. Let me search. As usual, it won't be reflected. Let's search for football where it has been reflected. so it has been reflected in this value field. So let's see how we can just create so that it will be executed right over here. So you could see that it has been reflected in the football field. Now you could simply see that our value has been as a football. So let's see how this works. That is our script. So let me just put here document.url. Let me just press search. Let me see Control U to see the page source, and you could see that anything you just typed over here has been converted into the string. So that is strange. So what we have done here was we just gave the simple input in that field simply here, which was a script, but it has been converted to the string. So if I just give the simple alert, I'm just making a simple payload over here, which is of script alert1 and script. Let me search it again. Let me just press Ctrl U to see the page source. Again, that script has been converted into the string in this value field. So anything you just passed in that field has been converted into the string by this page. So if that is the case, so we have just taken the example where you can just give the input from the keyboard. So you could just see here, we just pass anything from the keyboard has been converted into the string. So if that is the case, then you can just give the input from the mouse. And we have learned about the event in the JavaScript as in the previous lecture. If you remember, we have learned about on mouse over, on mouse out, on key down, and every event that is related to the mouse and a keyboard. So in this case, anything you just type from the keyboard has been converted into the string. But if you just try for the mouse, the event that can be given by the mouse, then it will be visible over here outside this value. So let's try on that. So we have to make our advanced payload here with the some event. So this is the challenge 7, and in this case what happened is we gave input from keyboard to the field, and that input has been converted to string by browser or by the server. So if this is the case, then you can give the input from the mouse. So let's see how we can just do that. So I'll just give the input from the mouse now. So first of all, you have to just, if you see, and if you just go back to the page source, then you could see that we have the closing field right here. So that means we have to give first the single quote, and after that we'll just make some event. So in my case, I'll just make something like on mouse over. You can also make use of on mouse out, and you can just give this equal in order to just assign some value to it. And after that, I want to execute some of the messages, so that should be document.url. So this is your final payload. So you can just execute this payload. Now let's see if this works or not. So I'll just go right here and let's see if this works or not. Let's copy this to this field. Let me just paste it here, and let me just search. So what we just did here was we make use of on mouse over. So how that works, whenever we just move this mouse to that search button, it will just inject our JavaScript code. Let's see if this works or not. So if I just hover this mouse to that search, this is working again because it was on mouse over. That means whenever we just make changes from this to another, if we just make hover to the search and again go back to, let me go back to challenge 7 again, and if I just go to the search and go out of that search, then it will be executed. Let's get that same payload again. Let me just copy this. Let me just paste it down here. So you could see that it is saying good work because that code has been injected. So you can see that when you just reflect that to that page, and when you just gave the mouse hover beyond that button, then you could see that page will be injected. So let me just go to the challenge 8 real quick. So it is the same as the challenge 7. So let's see if this works or not in the same manner. So I'll just say cricket again. Let me search. Let me press Ctrl U to see the search, and basically it is also the same challenge because the cricket has been injected here. So let's see for the script. So I'll just make a simple script and I'll say alert 1, and if I just search this, let me just press Ctrl U to see the page source. So now you could see it has been injected as a script again, but in this case it has been encoded. So you could see that in this case it has been encoded into something that is less than a realty gt. So here realty is basically encoded for the opening angular bracket, so something like this. Let me show you. So this closing bracket has been encoded as ALT, and this has been encoded as GT. So greater than and less than has been it has been encoded and it has been converted into the string. That means our script has not been executed. So if you see that input from the keyboard has been converted into something that is encoded form or something into the string form, like in the challenge 7, we can make use of the mouse event. So in this challenge 8.2 you can make use of the mouse event. So here we can make use of the mouse. So you can see it has been reflected right here. So I'll just make use of on mouse over payload or the event. So you can also make use of on mouse out, and now we can just give alert message saying document.url. So this will be your final payload, and let me just grab this, copy this from here. Let me go to this challenge. Let me paste. Okay. So what we need to do is simply paste it here. So I'll just say search. So same as before, we have to now hover our mouse to the search button, and when I just make that mouse to go out of that search button, our payload will be executed. So let's see. So I'm on the search. So let me make my mouse out of this search. Okay, this is not executing, and if you guess what we just did over here, so let me just press Ctrl U to show you what is going on here. So again this field has been encoded, so you can see it has been encoded as quote. So we just parts here, the double quote in it has been encoded as this at the rate, or basically and quote, and you can see on mouse over right here. So it has been encoded. That means this field is not vulnerable, so we cannot do anything to execute our payload in this field. But this is the challenge, and there must be a way to inject this payload. So let's see. Anything we just passed over here, so you can see this payload which was on mouse over has been injected into this name field. So let me just grab this link and let me just go here, and if I just paste down here, let me just go here and let me paste it. So you could see we have the two field over here, one with the name parameter and another has submit. So you could see that anything that starts with the question mark is a field. So we have a name field and we have name field, and it has injected our code. So anything you just passed in this field is inserted into the name, but this name is not vulnerable. But we have submit too, we have not checked this submit. Let's see for this submit now. Let's go and let me just pass here something like football again, and let's see if this works or not. So if I just pass football, so let's see what it has done here. So if you just pass football, it has reflected in this button. So what we just talked about the XSS was, if anything that we passed in the URL is reflected in the web page, there is a probable chance of the XSS attack. So you could see we just passed this football to this submit field and it has been reflected to the button. that means it has been reflected to the web page. That means this field or this submit parameter is vulnerable, but this parameter or basically name parameter is not vulnerable. That has the encoding format over here. So anything you pass is encoded with here, that is in the case of the name parameter. But we can see that submit has shown the reflected XSS right in the button. So let's see if this works or not. So let me just inject the same payload with that we just made over here, which was this on mouse over. So let me just copy this, and instead of football, let me just paste this on mouse over now. So let me just hit enter. So you could see we have just got the button that is going lesser. So let me just put here. So you could see it is saying good work, you are welcome to the next round. So we have just made the submit button to inject or to execute our payload, which was on mouse over payload. So what this payload does is pretty much it will just get executed the URL, basically what we have the payload over here when the mouse is hover to that button. So when I just go here, it has been reflected. So we have just completed all of the chapters of this challenge. So we have just made some of the advanced and simple payload in these lectures. So first of all, we could see that we have to make our script like this outside of the HTML tag. So first of all, we have to just close the HTML tag and make our payload to be executables, and it can be something like this. We have to make sure that we have just closed our value field and any field of the attributes of the HTML tag, and after do that we have to also close our input tag or any HTML tag. So if it was something like anchor tag, we have to also close this anchor tag first, and we have to inject, or basically we have to make our payload over here. So you could see same goes over here. We just first close the value field, and after we just complete with the closing of input tag, and we just execute the payload. And next one was we just execute this script, closing script first, and we just executed our script over here. And same goes for this payload too. And one was the important field over here. So when we just gave the input from the keyboard, and if it was converted to the string, that means that field is not vulnerable from the keyboard input. So we have to just give the input from the mouse. So we just made this payload which is based on the mouse event, and we just made this payload to be executable when we hover over the mouse button. And after that we just made the same for this payload by checking for the another field like this submit field. So this on mouse over in this name field was not vulnerable because it has encoded our payload in the form that it won't be executed by the browser, but the second parameter has executed our payload, which was our mouse event payload. So we have completed all of these challenges in this lecture. So see you in the next one.